live. Arthur, thanks for doing the stream before me and wrapping up on time. Really nice. Ready for some live PLO play. Sorry for my voice, it's a bit cold at home today and I'm a bit struggling, so hopefully that won't interfere with the stream. Yeah, there's a few things to go over today. I have a few questions from the viewers from the previous time that been sent to me. I'll address them during the stream today at some point. I'm gonna basically just jump in straight into the PLO live play in Zoom. The idea today is to play the 100 PLO, so the 50-cent $1 game. It's going to be a nice continuation to what we've been doing before. If you watched the previous two streams, they were PLO 50 and PLO 25. So what we're doing is we're basically exploring what we can learn about the player tendencies on different stakes. And yeah, so that's going to be a nice continuation. I am going to travel after this, so the next stream is not gonna come anytime soon. So we're kind of wrapping up this series of live play. When I'm back, I'm sure we'll continue with either live play or maybe some more theory-based videos for you guys. As always, if you have any questions, please do let me know in the chat. Do look me up on Twitter. There's not much going on there, but you will be getting updates about whatever I'm doing. So, considering that I'm going to be traveling and not streaming that regularly in December, definitely, you can keep track of what's happening. You can also look up the previous streams or the videos of the previous streams on YouTube. Look up my channel, or indeed go to the Bluff the Spot channel. We're going to be posting some short clips from the previous streams there. But if you want to see the whole thing, well, currently it's on my channel. It might not be there forever. Anyway, let's go. Ready to play. I had a few days off. I had some things I had to take care of. So I haven't been playing. I'm very much looking forward to jump back into the games. Okay, before we start, let me just... Well, what do we expect today? Okay, it's gonna be the same thing. As the previous two streams, I'm gonna be playing without the HUD, which again, I can't stress it often enough. It's probably a bad idea to play without the HUD in a Zoom pool because we don't have any idea about the player tendencies, we don't see their stats, so we are putting ourselves at a slight disadvantage, but I think it's fine. We'll see how it goes. I do expect the player pool to be stronger. If we compare the PLO 25 and PLO 50 from the previous two streams, I thought that in PLO 50 I saw slightly less often people doing something completely horrible. So the level of play was decent overall in the PLO 50. I expect PLO 100 to be on a higher level, of course. So we'll see how that goes. We'll take a note of any player tendencies. Looking at the lobby, I see that we actually have some familiar faces there. I suppose some people who used to play higher and moved down for whatever reasons. And some, there are a few familiar faces. I don't have any reads on them, I don't think, because even though I have some markings, I don't really remember them, so maybe, it's from a few years back, but we'll see. Anyway, let's go. I'm gonna play the same as always, which is basically sticking with a very, very basic strategy, not doing anything too fancy, just going for the simple, a very simple play. Now, what do we don't want to do here? It's close, but, let's just start off a bit loose, see what's happening. Now, potentially, I could continue. Not many turns are nice for us. We don't really have much going on for the hand. Some backdoor straight, weak draws, but yeah, let's just see a new hand. And actually, I should take care not to time out as much as I did in the previous two streams, because, you know, that's not optimal. Okay. Decent hand, open under, middle pair, but with this stack size, we can't do much. He is going to move in over our bet with pretty much any piece of the board, so we don't want to burn our equity by betting here and potentially facing an ugly raise from him. Now, can we call? It is close. It is quite close, in fact. Um, let's call. Let's call. The idea there was I don't expect this player to be check raising that much, so potentially we see this river heads up or three-way. And I thought, if we do hit our hand, if we do hit the straight, we have a lot of implied odds. We basically getting all of his stack, most likely. Maybe that's a wrong assumption, you know. Anyway, I see that already two plays I made that are not really the very, very basic strategy that I was talking about, that let's just play safe, etc. So maybe I should calm down a bit. A bit too happy to be back at the tables, want to play some hands. And actually that's something that happens to a lot of people, after a little bit of a break, you're more eager to play hands, to make light calls. Not optimal. Anyway, let's start with the raise. Sizing, I could go for both. Let's just go with the bigger one. Can't play this hand. Anyway, guys, feel free to ask me any questions today in the chat. I'm happy to divert from the live play or having the live play in the background, answer anything you might want to know. I will address some questions that I've already received later today in the stream. Yeah. Okay, now we have a straight, flushes out there, full houses out there. Do we really want to do anything but check? Not really, so let's just do that. Deceptive hand. We're not gonna open this. Potentially, if we wouldn't have a shorty here and we were all a bit deeper, there are merits for opening a hand like this, but not in this situation with a small blind. Being on the shorter side, we might run into a lot of trouble. Alright, so what do we make of it so far? nothing's going on, to be honest. Let's just, well, we call. 3-betting here would be too light. So yeah, let's just play it out. Check raising would be unnecessary, but not the worst idea. Folding, I think, probably is the worst idea, so we're not gonna do that. Now, with this deuce coming on the turn, there are some ideas for check raising. We don't have clubs. That works against us. But, you know, I would have went for a check raise if we were facing anything but a pot-sized bet. Now this ace is clearly not great for us. I think we have to bluff, to be honest. He's not gonna fold an ace, but we are folding out some queens and kings, so, you know, let's go for that. Because I do not expect to win the showdown with my hand often enough. What do we do? Oh, yeah, we call. That's a nice flop for our hand. So yeah, coming back to this previous hand, I don't expect to win the showdown often enough against a good player, right? So that's assuming that the player we were facing is a tough player. You know, if that's not the case, we could just safely check it down and show it down and probably not face a bet from him when he would try to steal the pot. So, you know, it would have. It really depends on your reads, I suppose. Against a tough player, I do prefer the lead there. Okay, so do we want to bet for value? In this case, we can't. Do we want to bluff? We don't really need to. So let's just show it down and hopefully he has some sort of a queen that doesn't have to pair. If he has a weaker hand than that, well, yeah, he has a queen with a weaker pair. Do I like his play on flop and turn? I don't mind it. You know, I would have played it differently myself, but I don't mind the passive approach. That's fine. But his hand did have would have played very nice as a bad bet kind of candidate. Anyway, that didn't happen. Still don't see anybody chatting. You guys out there? How you doing? Christmas time is around the corner. Exciting times. Okay, so a board like this, you know, we could lead a decent amount of time. This probably is not one of the hands. Yes, we are, you know, not winning the showdown very often. Now, do we want to bluff on this turn card? It's tricky. There are reasons to bluff, there are reasons not to bluff. Let's just go with a slightly more aggressive option, and well, it worked out. You know, but that wasn't the perfect candidate for a bluff for some reasons that I won't get into right now, because that would just open a whole a long discussion, and we don't want to get into that. We want to play some hands, see some action. So the plan today is I'm gonna play around think, well, an hour and a half, I think, around that mark. So we still have over an hour left. Hopefully we'll have some fun hands to discuss. Maybe I'll pause here and there, discuss something if I see anything really worth discussing. Of course, if you have a specific question about a hand I played or some other question about, general stuff, please do write in the chat. I'll keep an eye out on that. We won't really play that hand. I do seem to remember this nickname. Let's check the lobby if this player is... He's playing 2 tables, so that doesn't tell us much. Oh well. Now we're gonna defend our small blind with this hand. That's not the best flop, to say the least. So we are probably just check folding. I was about to say, yet. What do we want to do now? Let's try to make him bluff at some point. And I don't expect him to bluff right now. So let's try to extract some value. Hopefully he has some queens that can look us up. Hey Arthur, thanks for writing in the chat. The chat is now officially open. That's great. Let's see if he actually had queens, or what did he have? He had kings. Oh, and he had trips actually. Okay. Now what do I think about his play? Do I like the check back on the turn? On the flop, I'm sorry. Yeah, I sort of do. Although, of course, that board should not connect with my range on the small blind. So potentially with his kings, he can sometimes extract some very thin value, but going for a check as he did is probably the very standard option. So well done, sir. Not much he can do on the river. He has trips, he has to call me. I wonder if he would be betting his trips for value if I would have checked. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. That would be on the weaker side, but it wouldn't be entirely out of order. So, well, we can't really defend this hand, unfortunately, especially the guy is only with 50 big blind stack, so that would work against us. Okay. Not much action so far, but then again, we only played roughly 10 minutes. Can't really expect fireworks all the time. Alright, so perfect. We can finally 3-bet. That's going to be the first 3-bet of the day. Definitely want to 3-bet, don't want to let other people join the party. Let's narrow the field. Now this board can go either way. I can go for a bet. I don't expect a check raise very often. It would really hurt us if he does check raise. One idea is to check behind, let him try to bluff on the turn. So let's go for that. Let's hope he's slightly more aggressive. Now, what do we make of his check? He probably doesn't have anything to continue with. So, we would be, of course, giving some free cards to some cards, some hands, but it's a risk worth taking considering that he might decide to bluff the river. He didn't. Well, the only option we can go for, of course, is a value bet and hope that he rivered a straight, or he did have 2 pair or something that were calling 1-bet anyway. So let's see the showdown. Queens. I hate it. I hate his play. No further comments there, That's not a way to play your queens there on the river, sir. Anyway, congratulations on becoming the Bluff the Spot coach, and good luck at the tables. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's from uh, Max Power. I struggle to read the Max Power. Nice nick by the way. I like that. All right, Batman is back. He's probably playing a few tables. I do remember seeing him at the higher stakes tables recently. Alright, that's a pretty great board for us. So what do we want to do? We definitely want to build the pot. We want to start off with the bet. If we're facing a check raise, we are not going to try to shovel all the money in on the flop. We would try to use our positional advantage here and play turns and rivers. And especially we are 150 big blinds deep at this spot, this stage, which is actually great. You know, I don't see too many short stacks in this Zoom pool. This is fun. This is great for us right now. Let's open. This is great for us considering that I do hope to play with a deeper stack at some point today. That obviously doesn't entirely depend on me. Let's see how we run, how it goes. Now, this is slightly ugly, right? And I think let's be disciplined and fold. And let's be disciplined and not fold and watch. Let's not waste our time. Once you make the decision that you're gonna fold, you might as well just fold, move on. If you're really curious, you can look back at the hand after, you know. You can only play so many hands per hour, so just try to play as many as you can, and that's it. Okay, now you might notice this is loose-ish open, but everybody is pretty deep. And so far let's not call it mistake, but one observation that I have that people are not really making my life difficult, right? I'm opening early position. I have some deep stacks behind me. Nobody's really, three betting frequently. Nobody's calling too much. So, if they don't make my life difficult, I'm gonna try to steal some pots. So let's go for that. Now, tricky spot. I want to go for a bluff here on the flop because bluffing turns rivers is gonna turn very difficult for us. Now, what do we make of this? We don't have any clubs, but I think one more tiny bluff is in order. If he calls or does anything else, we're of course done with the hand. But this play, of course, is assuming that he doesn't have a really great range on the small blind. In fact, he's timing out. I hope that he actually didn't time out and was not able to make the decision that he actually was folding. Well, actually, what do we care? If he times out, it's his problem. I will time out at some point today. I'm pretty sure of that. That's not a big deal. Okay, so far, what's going on? Right. Well, we have a question in the chat for the Bluff the Spot nickname. That's not me, by the way. That's still Arthur. He's in charge of the chat. He is the chat man there. I'm just gonna be chatting with you guys as I speak. I'm not gonna be writing anything in the chat. But yeah, what's your main stake? Yeah, this question keeps coming up. Every stream, I mostly play 2-5, 5-10, 10-20 on online, and I play a lot of live poker whenever I can. I travel a lot for that, and then that's basically well, mostly the game that we have running is the 51, so the $50, $100 blinds game, and occasionally 100, 200 and higher. So that's my main stake. Haven't been playing the 50-cent $1 game for a while. Not sure I played it this year. Not sure I played it last year. I might have had like a, I don't know, 30-hand session or something like that for fun. But yeah, so idea behind these streams, because as some of you know, that's the third one in the series. First we played some PLO 25, then we played PLO 50, now we're playing PLO 100. The idea is to explore the field, to see what people are doing, what can we learn from that. You might notice that every time we play without the HUD, and it's not that just you guys don't see it. I don't play with the HUD right now. Like I don't have a HUD, so I have no reads, no stats. Playing in the dark puts me in a disadvantage, but you know that allows us to focus more on what's happening in the hands actually, instead of because otherwise it would be a whole different thing. If I would have the HUD, we would have a lot of discussions about player tendencies. What do we want to do? How do we want to adjust against this type of player, that type of player? And that would be a great stream. I think it would be very interesting and informative for a lot of you guys, but it will be different, right? Now we're just assuming everybody's unknown, and we take it from there. Okay, well, what do I make of this? Two small bets. I don't think we're ahead. Well, with an ace out there now, that's not great. I do consider a bluff, but I think I'm just gonna give up because, why not? Let's just give up. We have better hands to bluff with. But this hand has a lot of merit to be considered as a bluff. In the spot, we didn't do it this time, so. Okay, two shorter stacks at the tables. Always keep an eye out on the stacks. They change. They're supposed to change your strategy. Well, shorter stack, not the best hand to have against his stack size. Well, we're done on the flop. That's unfortunate. But what are you gonna do? Can't win every hand. Trip jacks. Not great. We are going to defend against the small blind, but that's about it. We're not gonna play against anyone else. In fact, we get a walk. Great. Best we could have hoped for. So for those of you who just joined, I was telling earlier that this one is going to be. Let me play this hand. Just because. So anyway, this is going to be the last of my live play streams, which came in a quick succession. Because as you might know, we did one. When was it? On Saturday, and one a week ago. So we played PLO 50, PLO 25. Now it's a PLO 100. So this is going to be wrapping it up. Because I'm going to be traveling in December. So, yeah, I'm going to be traveling in December. So I won't be able to do any live streams. Then I might be putting up some material on YouTube. So look my channel up on YouTube. It's a new channel. It's Runchuks Poker. I just opened it recently. So far, it just has the two videos that we had before, the two streams. They are uploaded there in full. They won't be there forever because, of course, it's not the idea to just have the full 2-hour video up there on the YouTube. But it's one way for some of you guys who missed the previous streams to catch up. Mm, you know. And yeah, do look me up on Twitter because I'm gonna be, I'll keep you updated about what I'm doing, if I'm gonna be doing some YouTube videos while I'm away and can't stream, if I'm gonna write a blog post here and there, you know. So we have a question of whether this is D. Boris. No, no. Great that you know that D. Boris is one of our coaches in the PLO team. So that's cool that you are aware of that, but that's not him. His nickname is not Runchuks. His nickname is D. Boris, as you said yourself. So no, that's not him, that's me. Okay, now, not the best spot, right? We did face a min open, and now this. We're gonna be out of position. Do we? Yeah, let's go for it. It's not great. I don't expect us to be winning here with a huge, like, it's not a high equity player or anything. Yeah. It's just one of those things where stack size has kind of dictated what we want to do. What is a good win rate for PLO? Is it higher than a no limit hold'em? Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I can't give you like a definitive answer. I didn't make a study about that, but I would assume that win rates in PLO are higher still, just as a function of player pools being a bit weaker. The game is way more difficult to study. Right? There's not a lot of really great material out there. The material is hard to assimilate because, like, we actually discussed this in I think last week or maybe on Saturday, which is last week anyway. So we discussed this, that the material in PLO is not as simple as in Hold'em, where you can just look up the charts, and then you just basically know your range in many spots. That's not the case in PLO, so it's a bit harder to study. It's a bit harder to improve at PLO, which means there's the player level is lower. That's my assumption. It's not like there's been it's not like I have any real numbers to back it up with. Yeah, well, I suppose I didn't answer the first part of the question, which is what is a good win rate for PLO? In my opinion, a good win rate for PLO is starting from 3 big blinds per 100. Of course, depends on other factors, like how many tables you play, because, potentially if you play on different sites at the same time, like 16 tables or something like that, your win rate might go lower, but your win rate per hour is actually decent and it goes up. So it's always a trade-off between win rate per 100 hands and win rate per hour. But my assumption is that if you're making 3 big blinds per 100, you can consider that it's good. This is one of those spots. I sort of want to not give free cards, but it's very hard to find a draw that he can call with. So we're very often shooting ourselves in the foot against a king or some low two pair. Let's see what happened. Well, in this case, kind of the perfect hand happened to be what he has, so that worked out really nicely for us. So, okay, so you saw um, about D. Boris on Instagram. That's cool. That's cool. And by the way, we're gonna be doing a stream with him. I mean, with D. Boris at some point, but definitely not in December. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna be traveling. I can't. Uh, I won't have a decent internet connection, so I'm gonna be away from the world a little vacation, little holiday. Really looking forward to that. Okay, now we're still not so deep as to make this 3-bet not appealing. You know, we're still under 150 big blinds deep, so let's just go. I know a lot of people are way tighter than I am in terms of 3-betting, but you know, I suppose all depends on how you play post flop in these situations. So here, not the best flop, but we definitely still want to c-bet, so let's go for it. Um, so far, maybe it's just we're getting lucky in terms of nobody has hands against us, but so far I haven't felt any heat. We are opening early position, we don't get 3-bet, we don't get, you know, cold calls, people don't float us. So far, so good. Nothing really difficult. Feels very comfortable playing these stakes. Which goes to show, I mean, the average player at these stakes probably has a lot to improve. Zimmer Bobs, hey, good to see you back. Your session didn't go too well today, I suppose. Oh well. Let me get your money back then. And I'm gonna put it to good cause. I'm gonna buy somebody a Christmas present. Now, this is close. We have a shorty there. I think I still want to open, but I don't know. It's one of those things. Let's play solid. It's not a great hand. There's a short. I mean, okay, that's always assuming, like, because you see in this situation, if we did have a HUD, I would have made a better decision. Like in many situations, like here, for example, if I had a better idea about what this player is playing under the gun, I would maybe call, but I can't. So, because we are playing in the dark, so let's assume everybody is decent, everybody's playing as good as they should. So yeah, you know, having a HUD in these types of situations would be very useful. So whenever you guys play, do have a HUD and set it up so that it works for you. You know, it's a great tool. It's not as important if you're just playing, you know, just a couple tables standard poker, not a Zoom format, because then you can actually concentrate on what other people are doing. You can make some notes while you're playing. There's more in terms of game dynamics. So all of these things matter, but don't exist in the Zoom. So this is a really, really weird. I think I might even just want to fold. And let's see it play out for fun. Great card. But this is really weird, right? We do have two nines, so in, in most cases our draw is going to be dominated most of the time. Um, and except for our draw, we don't really expect to win with a jack. So, you know, I think that was a good fold in this situation. Um, as you can see, indeed, our draw was completely dominated. Our jack was dominated. What this player was doing, I have no idea. And, oh well, you know, that was actually bad by him. I think he was the player who bet on the flop. I'm pretty sure that was a bet call, and then we folded. But once he does that, and I don't really like his bluff there, but let's assume he made this bluff, and that's not a great bluff. On the turn, that would be a good time to give up. You know, you don't want to put good money after bad. There's no reason. Now, what do we want to do here? It plays very nasty if we bet and he check raises, but I'm willing to take the risk. If he does check raise, we can fold. If he doesn't, then we potentially deny some free cards. That's what we want to do. Anyway, on this 10 of clubs, I think we can't really keep going for value and expect to be called. Do we want to bluff? No, we have aces, we can show them down. In fact, um, there are a few things I want to say about the hand he played. In fact, so much so that I'm even going to fold this hand. So, pre-flop, I don't like it. Stack sizes are deep, but I still don't like it. Well, just leave it at that. I don't like it. That was not a good play by him. It of course worked out, but hey, it's not gonna work out every time, so that's something to note. Because I do remember this player playing higher. Okay, but yeah, that's 2014. Alright, so this board checked through. I think it's a good time to start bluffing. I don't expect him to fold to one bet, but we will be doing a bet kind of trick. Okay, now the spade rolled off. I don't want to bluff on the spade. We do have some showdown equity. Hopefully it goes check. We can't call if he bets. Now, what do I think about him checking back his top pair on the flop? It's fine. Yeah, can't say more about it. It's fine. It's fine either way. It's fine betting. It's fine checking. It's one of those hands. Now we do seem to have everything on this board. Top pair, middle pair, and a ton. I mean, I know we have top set, but what I'm saying is that it's very unlikely that opponent has anything at all to continue with. So let's just check and make our life difficult, as in this case. But I'm obviously not folding. I'm still betting for value if we get a chance. Okay. Yeah, Arthur is writing in the chat about that guy with ace king 7-9. Indeed, what was he thinking? But then again, I mean, on the flop it's already bad, but the turn is not good. It's you shouldn't do that. He shouldn't do it. Nobody should do that. Now, this is funny because do we want to be that guy and ruin the party? The problem, of course, is that we have a guy who's short, and then there's a guy who's deep. And we are not getting into a great position. But the best thing for us is that this guy potentially can move back over the top, which puts him into a more difficult position. Now, not the best board, not much we can do. I want to move in. Um, one idea is to check, let him bet, and then move in. Potentially, if this player does this, we can actually consider folding. Now let's think about it for a bit. Do we want to fold? We do have a gutter, which is not great because, you know, we could be very much dominated against some other draw. We don't expect him to have two pair in this case, which would really, really be bad for us. Very nasty spot. I suppose let's go for it. Let's do it. We do have some backdoor potential, but not much else. We're doing pretty bad, in fact. That didn't work out. That's fine. What do I think about his bet? I hate it. But, you know, it worked out for him. I really think he would be better off seeing what the shorty is doing and then what I'm doing. But in fact, he didn't go for that option. Well, yeah, whatever. But yeah, very unfortunate that our outs were blocked there. If that wasn't the case, we were still not doing great, but definitely not in the worst shape. Yeah, definitely not defending against several people here. And we're not gonna play this hand, whatever happens. We could have limped, but another time. Now this is, well, here's the answer. This is one of those hands I probably won't defend even against a small blind open. Of course, if we had a HUD and we knew a bit more about the small blind and how he plays, we could potentially do something with this hand, but you know, against unknown, can't really do much but fold. Okay, well, I wanted to open, but now I can't call. It's a bit too weak. I don't think we're gonna play this hand. Nah, I don't think we're gonna play this hand either way, so let's just fold. Let's fold this. Let's try to get some more hands. Now again, let's recap what happened so far. It's been around 40 minutes of playtime. People don't really make our life difficult so far. We've seen some very, very questionable plays pre-flop. In fact, quite a lot of questionable things pre-flop. Every showdown we've seen, there was something we could disagree about the pre-flop play, which is great. That's great for us. What else did we see? I mean, just not too much aggression. And it doesn't seem that people make the best use of their position, and the best use of the stack sizes, and all of those things which really matter. But yeah. Let's limp. I am calling if he raises, of course. Now I am gonna check call on this board. I'm not gonna try to go for value on the ace when the spade comes. While on this ace, still I think we're better off letting him do something stupid. Because with this line, you know, there are not many hands we're betting for value in that situation, so we're definitely not bluffing too much. And since we're not bluffing too much, we don't necessarily need to bet with this hand. Because yeah, as you could see, occasionally this is gonna happen. He's gonna still try to bet all of his ace X and run into what he did run into, but really it didn't matter in that specific situation against his specific hand, because whatever we would have done, the amount of money we win would be roughly the same. If I would have bet, I would have bet perhaps a tiny bit more or on the bigger side. Okay, it would be great to know his 3-bet tendency here. We don't, so okay, let's go blind. Of course, a horrible board for our hand, a great board for his range. Nothing we can do really, just a fold. Have to accept it. Pretty hand, chance to open. Very, very nice. Okay. I do want to start bluffing at this stage. Check calling doesn't really work for us, but you know, check folding feels wrong because we have a lot of you know, good backdoor equity like this, because now we can just basically go for it. Of course, if he calls again, we're done with the hand. We're not gonna try to run some crazy 3-barrel bluff, but I think the bet here works just fine. Gartman in the chat, thanks. Looking forward to this. Yeah, man, you've missed a bit. We are still probably playing for, I don't know, like a bit under an hour. Yeah, and if you want to see the previous streams, or if you want to see this one from the beginning, which I probably will upload it at some point, do check out my YouTube channel. It's a brand new channel. I just opened it a couple days ago for the reason that you guys can catch up with if you've missed any of my previous streams. The channel is Runchuks Poker. Runchuks Poker. Look it up on YouTube. Right now there's only the 2 videos, the 2 streams that we did previously. They're not going to be there forever. I just put them out now so that you can just catch up, but I'm not going to keep the 2-hour videos there forever. You know, eventually there might be more material in terms of like a little video blog or something along those lines, but for now you can catch up with whatever you've missed. Do look me up on Twitter if you want any updates about what I'm doing, because I am going to be traveling in December and the best part of January, so I'm not going to be doing live Twitch streams, most likely, but I am going to be doing something else. I don't know what exactly yet. I'll see what I feel like, but you know, there might be some YouTube videos for you guys, or there might be a blog post or 2. So yeah, do look me up on Twitter. I'm gonna update you on what's going on there with the material that I'm putting out. Why am I putting out the material? Well, as I hope most of you know, Bluff the Spot is now offering coaching in PLO. That's a new thing. We've been doing this for, well, we actually started 2 weeks ago now. So yeah, that's the reason I'm here. I'm very excited about the project. I think it's a great idea. hopefully it's a great opportunity for some of you guys out there. Okay, well, this is a first, almost a family pot here. That's very funny. That doesn't happen too often at higher stakes. Now, what do I? Yeah, I can't do much. We do have a gutter and a flush draw, but neither the gutter nor the flush draw are anywhere close to the nuts. He leads into 5 people. Whatever he has us beat or in bad shape. Even if he has some sort of monster draw, he's probably favorite, even with us blocking some of his outs. But you know, what are we gonna do? The thing is, we have to realize that there's no way he can balance this play with having enough bluffs. So whenever he does that, we can just give it to him, you know, whatever. He wants to put so much money in with a great hand. Well, good, we fold. Goodbye. Okay, so we have a check. I think we want to bluff here. All right, that's not great. I think we want to give up now because I do expect him to check a lot of his queen x hands. Now the diamond rolled off. We could bluff. This is just ridiculous, to be honest. You know, at this point, if I thought I will play with this player again, I would pause the game. I would make some notes about, first of all, about his decision on the flop, which I don't agree with, the check calling with that hand, and then his decision not to bluff at any point. I mean, he is definitely at the bottom of his range. There's no worse hands that he can have, and he doesn't bluff. So that tells us something about how he plays and how we should adapt. Because, well, I'm not gonna get into details. You guys can figure out for yourself. But you know, that was probably the worst play I've seen so far. Even though it's of course a tiny pot, etc., etc. But every pot matters. It's not only about the big ones, you know. Of course, it's easier to remember the big ones, uh, but the big ones, in the end of the day, they are only, you know, making a part of your win rate. They make the variance, but how you play the small pots really, really matters. Now, potentially, we can get ourselves into an ugly situation here. Um, Hopefully it checks through. It doesn't. He pots it. Unfortunately, we have to fold. It looks pretty, but it's not pretty enough, so can't do much here. Alright, one idea is to go for a limp 3-bet. Let's do it, just because we didn't have a chance to do it before today. Definitely gonna bet a couple times at least on this board. I do get the feeling that people are not floating enough. For those of you who are not familiar with the term, although I think most of you are, floating is when somebody is calling you in position without having much of a hand, just because he plans to take it away from you at the later stage. And I haven't seen any of that going on so far. Of course, it's a small sample of hands that we're playing. Maybe people are just really having bad hands against us all the time. We never know. We'll probably never find out. Okay, I think we go for a free card. Now, this is not the best situation. I don't think our Jack-9 is good often enough, but yeah. The question is, can we go for value here? And theoretically we should. If we know more about the player's tendencies, we could, but let's not do it. Let's assume we can't, because if he's good, he shouldn't be calling there with his queens, the ones that he had, and otherwise we're not making enough money with that bet. Let's put it this way. But if we do have some reads on the player, if we do have some stats on the player, we can actually make a lot of money in little spots like this, just exploiting their mistakes. Okay, now I do want to bet here. I want to start with a small bet, but we're definitely betting bigger on future streets. I'm gonna go pretty big here. Just go for the maximum. That works out. So far, a lot of our bluffs worked. In fact, I think all of them worked miraculously. Does it mean people don't defend well enough? I don't know. I think the sample is too small to. This is, by the way, a very loose open, but we've been playing, haven't faced too many things like this or that, so serves us well for playing a hand we were not supposed to and seeing things we were supposed to. So that should teach us a lesson. Because in fact, all the pre-flop really depends on what you can get away with, right? Some people can basically play any hand pre-flop and sort of get away with it. But nowadays, that's definitely not possible. On higher stakes, you have to have a pretty solid game and understanding of the game pre-flop if you want to make any money at all. So the general level of the players is improving a lot recently. That being said, there's still so much room for improvement for everyone, including myself. The game is evolving, we have to evolve with it. So in fact, actually, maybe now is a good time to address the questions I had from a few people who contacted me personally about what we're doing here at Bluff the Spot. So first of all, I mean, if you want the real details and you want to go and look all the information up, I think the links and everything is available on the Bluff the Spot Twitch channel, and of course you can just go bluffthespot.com and look all the info up. What we're doing is coaching for profit. So who is it for? I mean, basically anyone who wants to improve their game seriously. Like if you're really motivated to go for it and get to the next level, we're there for you. The difference between what we're doing and just a normal coaching is very expensive per hour. You basically have to pay somebody quite a lot of money just to get, a good coach. Whereas with us, there's no initial investment. You are improving, and we're only making money if you're winning. So we are very, very motivated and interested in you doing as well as you potentially can. So the level of commitment from the coaches, I think, in coaching for profit projects is always significantly higher than just one-on-one coaching per hour, because eventually we are so invested in you and we really want you to do well. Now here I didn't feel like bluffing at any spot. It's just not a great board to do anything silly with the hand that we had. That worked out. Do I want to defend? Yeah. Alright, so let's see if he does c-bet. This would be again a great spot if we knew the tendencies, if I had some HUD and if I was able to tell how often he c-bets. I don't know that. He did check behind. I don't want to bet here myself. I would go for a check raise on the turn if I get a chance. If not, we're happy to get our free card. Unfortunately, the card is a 9. I think we should just give up. I don't think he's going to fold his overpair. If he has a hand that is not an overpair but beats us, like this, then again, that would be a great time to make a note about him, about his tendencies, how he plays, because I don't think he should show down his ace-10 there. Okay, that's just the nuts. Unfortunately, we're not making much money on this board. I think we are facing a fold way too often, especially with us blocking the ace. But checking back just makes no sense. If we ever make any money, then it's from a flush. If he has a flush, he has it already, so might as well try to go for 3 streets of value. Hopefully some days he calls. Otherwise, we're not making much money anyway, so the fact that he folds a lot is fine. We can't really expect him to bluff a lot once it goes check check on the flop, so there's no good reason to check behind with the nuts in that spot. Now, do we want to open this hand or just call? I would go for an open if I get a chance. If anybody else puts some money in pre-flop, I'm done with the hand, even against them in open. Unfortunately, um, don't really want to play a 3-bet pot with that hand. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, I guess unfortunately we're done with the hand. This type of board is supposed to connect really well with the small blind. So him leading there is not very surprising. He should be doing a fair amount of that. Of course, he should only be doing it if he actually balances his strategy. If he's not, then again we can just exploit that, and that would work against him. Potentially we have a chance to 3-bet. It really depends on which position opens. Yeah, okay, let's go for a 3-bet. Again, it would be great to know. Maybe he's so tight that this is a horrible 3-bet, right? But we don't know that, so let's assume he's not horribly tight. Now, we definitely want to c-bet on this board with a really high frequency, so I'm gonna c-bet this hand. Alright, the 7 is not great for our range. To be honest, it's not great for his range either, so I'm not really concerned. Checking is in order. We have quite a decision if he does bet himself at this stage, but it really depends on the bet size, I suppose, because we could check call, we could check fold. At this stage, it doesn't look good for us. I don't expect to make a lot of money by check calling here. Okay. I don't mind that. Should he have bet for value? It's close. Probably unnecessary, so fine. The way he played the hand is totally fine. Right, somebody's asking about the delay. Yeah, we have a 3-minute delay on the stream. And I think, yeah, I've missed the question. I'll get right to it. Can we check call? Potentially very ugly. Check folding, very ugly. Betting would have been nice. So how about check raising? That seems unnecessary, but let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see. We're of course done if he puts any money in. We're not gonna try to bluff more. Yep, we're done. Now, was that a best candidate for a check raise? Definitely not. But you know, I like that type of hand better than just turning like a decent equity hand into a bluff there. Anyway, the question that I missed was about variance. Does PLO have more or less variance than Hold'em? Definitely more. Definitely more variance in PLO, which is great because that makes the game more fun for recreational players and for, you know, anybody playing really. It's a fun game, but yeah, you do have to deal with some nasty runs or some amazing runs once in a while, and it works both ways, you know. Some people get fooled by a good run, overestimate their skill, and move up too quickly and get burned. And some people never get a chance to, you know, to realize their potential because they just, you know, become miserable way too quickly. Because yeah, the swings can be quite nasty, but you know, the swings and the variance doesn't matter. What matters is the win rate. If your win rate is very positive, you know, the variance only puts the bounds on how much you win. If you're a break even or break even-ish player, then variance is really, really tough in PLO because you're gonna have a lot of stretches where you're winning when you're losing, and it's gonna be all mixed, and it's gonna be a lot of stress for some people. So yeah, it all depends on the win rate, you know. As long as you have a great win rate, you really don't care about the variance. You, in fact, just welcome it because it, like I said, it makes the game more interesting for the recreational players, so they stick around more often. Now, with an 8 here, unfortunately, not a great card for us to keep betting. His bet is really weird. Unfortunately, we have the worst hand. And we don't have the stack size situation to do anything about it, so we just have to fold. Now, how can I compare PLO 100 to the PLO 50 and PLO 25 that we've played previously on the previous streams? I think the level of play is better. We see less horrible stuff going on. But that being said, still a lot of mistakes pre-flop, in my opinion, and a lot of mistakes in small pots. Can't say much about the big pots. So far, we've lost all of them, and it was, you know, there was nothing we can take away from there. Nothing we can really learn. The sample is too small to judge. much easier to judge the small pots because they happen more often, or at least in this session that we're playing, and we very often see people just go for showdown with hands they should definitely have bluffed at some point, um, which is great for us. Now, again, I wish I had some knowledge about how he plays because I could go for a limp 3-bet. Now this is something to note. A player folded his big blind against the small blind open. If we see him doing it, you know, with some specific percentage, we can just basically open 100% of our hands and see if he ever starts to adapt, or does he not even check our stats, because if he doesn't, then it's just free money. Let's open every hand, let's go for it. But you know, of course, sample of one is not a sample, so it's not something we can assume about that player just yet. But that's something to keep an eye out whenever you see a play that is a rare play. Always do check whether it's happened because it's one of those rare cases when it happens, or does it happen more frequently, which means we can exploit it in some way. Alright, are we gonna go for a 3-bet? I do think we want to. Let's see what the other player does. Hopefully he folds, and then we have a nice... He doesn't fold. Do we still have a nice hand to 3-bet? Yeah, let's go for it. Let's 3-bet. Instant call. What is this country? Equatorial Guinea. Nice. That's a great board. Needless to say, that's a great board. Now, how do we make the most money? Do we want to bet small, or do we want to check? Three-way. Problem with checking is nobody's putting money in. So yeah, let's go. Let's try to get some value from a random hand holding some hearts or some straight draw or something like that. So now let's think. What do we want to do here? We still want to bet really small. Yeah, small. Let's go for smaller. That basically leaves us roughly 75% pot size bet on the river. Let's see what he does. Right, I'm still, of course, betting all in here. I don't expect him to bluff when we check, so let's just hope he had some sort of king. He didn't, so we most likely made the most out of our hand. Maybe could have gone a tiny bit bigger on the turn. The reason I went for such a tiny bet on the turn is to leave a decent size bet on the river, because that's in fact what I would like to do with all of my range that I play there, with my bluffs and with my value hands. Right, we have a question about bankroll strategy. It's actually something we touched upon in my previous stream, which was on Saturday. You can look it up on the YouTube channel. That's the new YouTube channel I just recently opened. It only has the recordings of the streams that we've did so far. They're not gonna be there forever. But for now, it's just a way for you guys to catch up with the streams that you've missed. To give you a quick answer, well, a good 100 or 200. Well, you know, there's a lot of material out there, a lot of books, a lot of theories about bankroll management, risk of ruin, all those things. So if you want a mathematical question, then bankroll requirement is just basically a function of your win rate and the variance that your style of play produces, right? So there's no one size fits all mm, answer to this. But one thing that I do encourage everybody to consider is that also just do something that's comfortable for you, right? Because, it's not only about the maths part of it. It's not only about what's right in terms of bankroll. It's also about how does it make you feel emotionally, right? Because if well, let's put it this way. Sometimes playing way overrolled is great for your nerves, right? Some people don't care about it, so it's really individual. It really depends on your preference on how much heat you can stand, so to say. But, I don't think anybody should put themselves into a position where, you know, let's say losing 20 buy-ins or losing 15 buy-ins, and those things are going to happen, right? It would be not great if that hurts you, like emotionally, apart from the fact that you had a bad session, etc., etc. But if you feel like, oh man, that was like a lot of money for me, well, then probably you should reconsider your bankroll strategy, right? Because in the end of the day, if you're having once in a while these sessions which make you suffer emotionally, is it really worth it? You know. So that's not really an answer that gives you a number, but you get the idea. You can definitely look up, um, just put in the numbers of the win rate and your variance, because that of course also is a function of how you play, what stack size depth do you play, do you rebuy every time you go over 100 big blinds? Let's say if you double up, do you go back to 100 big blinds? Then do you play 50 big blind strategy? Do you play um, deeper? So it all depends. Myself personally, I have a very conservative bankroll strategy, and it served me well. I've been playing poker for over 10 years. Um, and I'm still enjoying it. I never burned out. I never had any periods when I was completely stressed out, as I see a lot of people are, just feeling miserable. But the only reason they are is because they put themselves in that position. So, you know. Anyway, that was a long answer to that question, but I do think that's an important thing, bankroll management, not only in PLO, in any game you're playing. Um, But yeah, don't look at it only from the mathematical perspective. Think about how you feel about the numbers. Also think about how you feel, because there's another aspect. Like if we take my example, right? Sometimes I would like to jump into the $50, $100 game online on PokerStars, right? And mostly I pass on the opportunity. I sometimes do sit down on a quarter 50. But the thing is, it's not really worth it for me, right? I wouldn't mind the swings there. I play even higher when I play live. But the thing is, when I play live, I know I'm gonna have that game running every day, right? Whereas if I play online, and it's really hard to get on those tables, if you miss your seat, then you end up like the number 20 on the waiting list, and you never get in. So the thing is, if you can only get into the game, um, once or twice a month, even if you can afford it, like, is it worth it if most of your action is going to be at lower stakes? So the variance is so skewed, you can basically ruin your whole month by one bad session at higher stakes and have no chance of getting the money back. Um, Of course, if you look at it purely from mathematical perspective, then you should, of course, always grab the opportunity. You see that seat opens, just grab it, go for it. The highest stakes you can afford. But on emotional level, that would not make me feel good. And it doesn't matter if I sit down and I win. That's great, but it doesn't change the way how I feel about the situation. If I know that I can only play it, a couple times a year, realistically, because when I want to play poker, those games are just not running. If they're running, it's hard to get into them. Um, so what's the point? Hmm. Well, this is close. I don't even know, to be honest. Mm, ah, let's stay disciplined. We were a bit deep. That's a reason to consider playing this hand. If we were with shallower stack, probably it's a much easier fold. But the thing is, we don't have anything about any information about the other player. All right, we have a question about did the group coaching happen? Yeah, that's a great question. I forgot to mention that, guys. I actually wanted to mention to you that the group coaching session, the one that is free for anyone who wants to join, the only thing you need to do is look me up either on Twitter and send me a message and say, hey, I want in, or send a message to the support and Bluff the Spot. The session is happening tomorrow. It's at 1 p.m. Central European time. So 1 p.m. tomorrow is the session. Totally free. Just let me know that you want in and why you want in. Right? That's it. Very simple. So grab your chance. Grab your chance to participate. Hmm. This is interesting. Yeah. I like a small bet here, and I like a check here. Well, considering that now he pots it, I like my check more because if that's this bet is part of his strategy, it's great for us. Now a deuce is not great for us. We would want to start bluffing here, except is he going to believe us or is he going to just move over the top? I think we have to try to bluff and hope that he is not thinking too deep. The club was definitely not what we wanted to see, especially a king of clubs is definitely not what we wanted to see. We have to give up at this stage. We can't represent kings. Oh, and in fact, he had a deuce, so it wouldn't have worked either way. Again, one of those things you should immediately, if you think you're going to be playing against this player, again, definitely note about his sizing, like what he did on the flop of basically just potting into three people with the bottom pair and third nut flush draw. Which I'm not saying is a bad play, but what I'm definitely saying is that I don't think he can make it balanced. I don't think he's gonna have enough bluffs. Um, by bluffs, of course, I mean the complete bluffs, the completely weak hands, because of course he didn't have a mate hand at that stage. So that goes to show something about his strategy, and that's very unfortunate. Now, do we want to keep bluffing? We do. We are getting looked up very often by an 8. Let's just hope he doesn't have Jack 8, which would snap call. And he has 8-4, which should fold, 10-8, well, whatever. He doesn't fold, which is fine, but, again, that's something to note immediately about this player. Because if my assumptions about the player pool here are correct, there's no way he's making money by calling there. against an average player at the PLO 100. And if he is, well, that, you know, then wow, this is a great game. So we are facing this, and in fact, I just have to fold. I don't think I can make this work. I kind of regret folding here, actually. It's a bit sad, but what are you gonna do? Anyway, do we want to 3-bet here? We do. It's sort of a 4-bet against the small size 3-bet, but okay. JL definitely moving in with all the money. I hate his 3-bet, by the way, pre-flop. It's really, really bad, especially with the min open. It's just as bad as it gets. This hand is not good enough to. Never mind 3-bet. Never. You just shouldn't play that hand. But again, you know, I like to see people make mistakes. Okay, they win, but that's part of the variance for you there. Can't influence what happens. What you can influence is not make mistakes like this, you know, because honestly he put how much money was that? That was something like 24 big blinds pre-flop with this hand when his stack to begin with was 80 big blinds. You do the math, how much he's gonna be winning with this hand. He's not gonna be winning with this hand, definitely. Okay, so the question about where the group session is happening. Yeah, for all of you guys who are in the group session, I'll send you all a private message tomorrow. Most likely we hold it on Skype. It's gonna be easier because everybody's available on Skype. So yeah, probably we're using that. Maybe some other platform. It really depends. I'll confirm tomorrow. Depends on what all of you have available. I want to make it as simple and easy for all of you to participate. All right, so let's go for yeah. All right, we definitely want to start betting here. Spades came. He could call with some draws. If he has king queen, is he gonna fold at this stage? I think not. So let's try to extract some value. That didn't happen, but whatever. It's fun to play. Like I said in the beginning of the stream, I've missed a few days of poker. I had some stuff to take care of, so it's good to be back. It's fun. Um, One thing I notice about myself and about most of the other people that I know who play a lot is that whenever you take an extended break or even a short break, a couple days, when you get back to the tables, you're playing a bit too loose or slightly looser than you would just because you're eager to get into action, eager to play some hands. So that's something to think about, you know, to keep an eye on yourself, whether you're making plays on merit or whether you're making plays just because you're getting bored too quickly or you just want to see some action, right? I probably did a few of those um, today. Don't really regret them. I don't think we did anything horrible. Some plays that were unnecessary if we wanted to play just the basic strategy, but overall everything was fine. One thing we touched upon last time, for those of you who haven't seen the last stream, go on YouTube, Runchuks Poker. It's a new channel. We are putting the recordings of the streams there. You can see the previous stream up there in full, because we in fact did have a discussion about analyzing your session when you finish it. So going through the hands, because sometimes it's, you would just look at the result and you say, I won, it was a great session, or I lost, so it was a bad session. Well, it doesn't really matter how much you won or how much you lost. What matters is how you played. So it's always a good idea to, after the session, look through the hands, analyze them, mm, you know, go through your database. In fact, probably for whenever I do the next live stream video, which I don't know when it is going to be, because I'm going to be traveling. But when I'm doing it, I might wrap up quicker, so I might play just about an hour, not hour and a half, and then go through the hands together with you guys. We analyze some interesting spots, if indeed we have any, because if the session was just very standard, still is worth going through the hands quickly, checking what happened. It's one of the best ways to improve your game. All right, now, do we want to bet here? I think this is one of those spots where I wanted to make bet on the flop and on the turn with a specific hand, so let's go for that. Ace is bad, ace is not what I wanted to see. Still will continue with my plan, but unfortunately, as far as I'm concerned, ace was the worst card out there for me. All right. And let's just stick with the plan. He's gonna look us up with an ace a fair amount. Okay, can't find you on Twitter, Runchuks.p, because I see you have a typo there. There's an extra C in the way you wrote it. It's just Runchuks, not a CKS in the end. So what did he look us up with? Yeah, an ace. I was expecting him to look us up very quickly there with an ace, but he did tank, which is a great sign, because if he tanked because he really considered folding, great for us. If he's going to be folding an ace there, that's why we make the bet. Ace jack though. Yep, that's the way to spell it. That's the way to spell it. Runchuks P. Thanks for that. I appreciate, because as you can see, guys, I'm not typing myself in the chat while I'm playing. As I always advise everybody, not to get distracted when you're playing, focus on playing. Of course, that's kind of funny coming from me when I'm trying to also explain the hands while I'm playing, so of course I'm not really focused. But I do my best. At least I'm not trying to be on all the chats and everything at the spare time. Some people can manage to do it, and great for them. I'm not one of them, so. But I can answer your questions verbally. Oh wow, Zimmerbobs, you really had yep, bad session, 12 buy-ins. Yeah, but yeah, of course, especially after a little holiday, it happens a lot. Take it easy on yourself after holidays, be smart. Okay. We do have a nice hand to bluff, but we do have a nice hand to check down. So far, people were checking down a lot of hands they shouldn't have. Now, do we wanna? I wanna go for a check call. I don't think I'm gonna make money by betting. Mm. Says can't find the user. Runchuks P. Well, let me see what's up. No, it does. If you just copy paste, if you copy paste whatever is in the chat, which was put up by HDRMG. Thanks for that. That's the correct nick. That's how you can find me on Twitter. I just did find myself, so you know, go ahead. And yeah, of course, if you do and when you do find me on Twitter, yeah, Robbie Expert, thanks. That's a link. That's what we need. We need a link. All right, so yeah, if you when you do look me up, yeah, and that's the YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Thank you. So yeah, when you do look me up, remember to apply for the session, the free coaching session, the free group coaching session that is being held tomorrow at 1 p.m. CET. It's going to be a one-off. I'm not going to be doing too many of these, so it's something special. I'm going to be well prepared for it, so it's going to be worth it for you guys. Do prepare some questions. If you have any questions that you want to touch upon in the session, send them to me beforehand. Of course, we won't have time to cover everything, but you know, I'll do my best to touch upon the things that come up more frequently. But otherwise, I think it's going to be a fun session tomorrow. Okay, let's think about this one now. It seems really weird. The thing that makes sense is he could have two pair with the queen now. Apart from that, you know, does seem a lot like king queen. We know that people were showing down their no equity hands so far, but I do feel like I need to call. Yeah, it did feel like the two pair with the queen. It is two pair with the queen. Good read. Oh well. What do I think about his bet? I like it. It's a bit loose on the river. You know, queen six is down there, but I like the fact that he did bet. Again, that's something to note. When you see somebody make a play like this, you should note it because you know that their range on the river is going to be quite balanced. And when you see somebody never make a bet like this, like always check down two pair on the river, it's a great piece of information to have because then you know you will be able to adjust really nicely to. Oh my god, now this is ugly, I have to say, because calling is not great, folding is not great, re-raising is not, it's just not great overall. So let's call the least of the worst things. So let's see what happens. Hopefully we get a king, that's what happens, and then we win. If we don't, straight will do. Otherwise, I'm just gonna quickly fold like on this board. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. Realistically, I sometimes do have the best hand, but it's not often enough. And if anybody puts any money in, they have our draw beat. Now, you heard me before saying that, you know, fold and show is not fold and show, but fold and watch is not a good idea. You can always get back in the replayer. But I think this was one of those hands which is important to see because if we would have seen anything but aces from this player, that's something to note. And of course, it was very interesting to know what these players have. And immediately we see that the player on the button had a very bad hand. He should never be in this pot um, ever. So that's something to note, that he's overvaluing specific types of hands, and he's probably calling too much on the button in position. That's definitely something to note. What do we think about the player on the small blind? I don't think he should be calling with this hand. It doesn't play good multi-way at all. Um, and then on the flop he made he just moved in with a gutter, which is fine. I don't hate that, but he shouldn't have played that hand pre-flop. So in fact, out of three people in the pot, us not included, out of three people, two had no business being there, which is a great sign. It means we're playing a great field. It's a great game. We're not gonna fold our aces there, regardless of what he would be doing. So finally we win a pot. Haven't won too many pots today, but can't really complain. I don't think I have any regrets as to how I played. Possibly when I will look back at it, I might disagree with a few hands, but that's really normal. Everybody has inconsistencies in their play. That's why we're human. So I'm gonna be wrapping up soon. Probably play for another 5-10 minutes. Just, you know, as long as it's fun. And let me check. Yeah, because my games are not that great. There's not much action at 5-10. In fact, there's no tables on PokerStars right now. The one table 10-20. Oh, it actually timed out. I was too busy browsing them. Okay, now what do we want to do? Do we want to call? We probably have better hands to do it with, so let's not do something stupid. But anyway, yeah, I'm easy. I can probably play a bit more. I don't have a strong reason to quit my session, just because there are no other games going on right now. So it's probably, I finish this one, take a little break, and then I'm back at the tables playing my regular games, having fun with the regular field. Yeah, in the chat we have AA, I suppose referring to aces. Is that a question, or is that just a statement? Aces. We did play some aces recently. We won a hand, in fact, with aces. That was great. Alright, well, I checked quickly because I was talking, and I hate it now. I hate it now because check raising doesn't seem like a great idea. But yeah, I should not have checked there. And again, you see, this happens to anyone. This happens a lot. Right now I'm playing one table and I'm talking to you guys, so I'm slightly distracted. I'm not making I'm not fully focused, of course. But in reality, if I would be playing my normal games, I might have something like 12 tables all over all sites, everything flashing and running and beeping. And of course, I'm going to play, with lack of focus in some spots. Of course, there's going to be mistakes, and that's just normal. But what's important is after you finish your session, do look through your hands. Do think about what you played, why you played, and try to spot the frequent mistakes, the mistakes that you frequently make. And mostly, for most of us, these are the mistakes in small pots, right? The pots that are just too easy to just click a button. Like the pot before, you know, I was talking, we were in the limped pot. I don't even think I checked the board or my hand. I just instantly clicked check without any thoughts about it, you know. And yeah, it's a small pot, but you know, if I do that every time I face that small pot, well, it's not great. Anyway, we've been playing for almost 1 hour 45 minutes. I think there's another like 5-10 minutes, and then we're gonna wrap up. Hopefully, we play a big pot, and Jesus, almost timed out. I do want to 3-bet here. I don't know anything about his opening tendencies, but I think our hand plays well enough. Now, I do want to c-bet. I want to c-bet small on this type of board, so let's just go for it. See what happens. Check raise would be unexpected. Check call is highly expected. Now on the 5, I think we can check, try to get a free card. There's an idea of trying to bet again. We might be facing kings a bit too often considering the cards we're blocking. Not a great run out for us. We are unlikely to have a flush since we didn't bet on the turn. It's probably best to give up with our hand. Unless, of course, we think he might be folding his queens and kings. He shouldn't, really. You know, so it's fine. What do I think about this play? His open preflop, of course, is totally fine. Our 3-bet, I think, is totally fine in this situation. Our c-bet is totally fine. And us giving up there is just one of those things that is, you know, part of the strategy. You can go very aggressive and bet, but I think there are better hands to do it with than the one that we had. So overall was alright. Nothing special. Okay, so we have a limp here. I do prefer to try to isolate him instead of playing a pot 3-way. Now, do we make more money by betting or checking here? Let's start with the check and let's see what happens. Is it a good time to start betting now? Probably. Just considering how quickly he checked behind, I don't even think that he was considering bluffing at any point in that hand. Yeah, it's amazing how often terrible play is rewarded in this game. We have that in the chat, and it's true. It's true. Yeah, we'll just call and play simple. Alright. Definitely don't want to go for a check raise here. Check calling a couple streets is gonna be the idea. If he checks behind, we're definitely betting the river. We're gonna have a lot of bluffs to do it with, so definitely doing that. Cartman says it, yeah, it must be tough to play and watch the chat as a new streamer. Definitely is tough for me, especially since I didn't set it up in a way that the chat is easily visible for me. It's sort of not right there. Maybe I should do something about it for future streams, but I think it works out fine so far. You know, I'm whenever I get a chance, whenever there's a quieter moment at the table, I will glance on the chat and try to get back to any questions that I've missed. So I think that works out well enough so far. Anyway, guys, I do hope you liked the stream. For those of you who missed the previous ones, go on the YouTube channel, check them out. They're going to be available there for a limited time. You can see them in full. You can reach out to me on Twitter if you have any questions about any of the sessions that I've put out on Twitch. If you have specific questions, general questions, any type of questions, send me a message. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna check and call against the bet. Not very happy about it, of course, but I don't think I want to be folding in this situation. So I'm just gonna go for a check call again on the river. It's not great, but what are we gonna do? I don't really want to comment on that because it's just one of those things. I don't mind the way he played it, by the way. It's nothing to do with that. It's all fine. Okay. Yeah, so I think I started saying that, for those of you who haven't heard, I'm not going to be doing another of these Twitch streams this month. I don't think I will get a chance as I'm going to be traveling and I won't have stable internet connection available to me. And potentially maybe even longer than just this month. But we'll definitely do more of the same. If I can't do them individually because of my internet or any other issues, I might do a stream with somebody else, just joining their stream in Skype so that we have a discussion. So keep an eye out for that. I might and I will most likely put up some material in terms of a little blog, either on an actual blog or in the YouTube channel. And I will, of course, inform everyone about that on Twitter. So if you are interested of hearing those news, do look me up on Twitter. If you have any questions about Bluff the Spot, what we do, how we do it, who's it for, etc., etc. I timed out here, okay. So if you have any of those questions, just shoot a message to the support. You can find all the links on bluffthespot.com, or if you're watching it on the Twitch channel of Bluff the Spot, all the links are out there. So yeah, you can get answers to any questions that you might have. But anyway, once again, I do hope that you liked it. I had fun. It was cool to be back in action after a couple of days of not playing any poker. How do I rate my play today? I'm not happy about it and I'm not hating it. I think overall it was okay. In some spots I was not focused. I just was clicking buttons, but that's part of the game that happens. You need to catch yourself when you're doing that and make sure you don't do it for too long. Other than that, I think it was fun. It was good to see how people play. I've seen some very horrible plays. I've seen some decent plays. I'm sure the general feeling that I get is that people play better than. Do we want to call here? We don't have a time bank. That's not great. And that's even worse. Now, let's do this, see what happens. So yeah, where was I? Okay, that's funny. That's really funny, but okay. Yeah, I think the level of play overall was better than in the Zoom pools that I was exploring in the previous streams. People definitely play better than in 25, PLO 25 and PLO 50. Still a lot of really bad play. And once again, do consider that if you want to take the biggest advantage of playing online, do use the HUD. Playing without the HUD puts you in a disadvantage from the beginning. Um, and that's, the higher the stakes you go, the harder it is to get away with it, because the advantages that you can get over players, if you keep missing them, as in you don't know the tendencies of your opponents and you have no reads on them, it's getting harder and harder to make money the higher you move. Of course, at like PLO 50, PLO 25, really, you don't really need a HUD to have a decent win rate, but still, why not improve your win rate if you can? Um, yeah, definitely gonna call this, and let's basically sit out the next big blind, whenever that's gonna be. Okay, that was really quick. In fact, that was the very next hand. Anyway, once again, I really appreciate all of you watching. Appreciate everybody chatting. Thanks for the comment. Very interesting session. Yeah, I like this session as well. I think we had some cool hands, something to look back at and analyze and review. Results wise, wasn't that great. I don't know how much we lost. Um, yeah, we lost a few buy-ins. That's not great, but you know, apart from results, I think it's been quite nice, quite informative. So I do hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. Look me up, and yeah, remember, for those of you who don't know, or for those of you who know but still haven't done it, we are doing a free coaching session, a group coaching session tomorrow. Mm, absolutely for free. Just look me up on Twitter or send us a message on Bluff the Spot, and yeah, and just say why you want to be in. And it's being held tomorrow at 1 p.m. CET. All right, guys, I'll leave you with that. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.